the mRNA vaccinations from a programmer-style perspective have the following terminology. We have the DNA, the mRNA, the lipids or the fats, cells, and the protein. Let's start with the DNA. The DNA is the full program, the full code base, the monolith code base that you store in GitHub. When you want to run this code base, you don't run it fully. You don't run fully the dna.github.com code base. You take a part of it and you run it. Treat it as a function call. You take a specific function. So let's say we want to create a hair cell. Then we first clone all the code, all the module that is related to the hair cell creation, and we call the function create hair. So not the two things. We didn't run the DNA code itself. We cloned it, just like you clone code from GitHub. But differently from cloning code from GitHub, we cloned only the relevant code that we want. And this is what we call the RNA or the mRNA, which is messenger RNA, because it goes to somewhere else, to the environment, let's say to production, where we actually execute. So the whole DNA code is in GitHub. We clone from GitHub, git clone the function, the specific code that we want. We deploy it to production, messenger RNA, move the RNA. We call this part of the DNA the RNA. We call this function the RNA. We deploy it, it becomes messenger RNA, and then we execute this function, which is simply running this function. So it fits a hair cell. We said we run the function create hair. And if it's a muscle cell, then we call the function create muscle. This creates the output of the program. Let's say it created some user interface. In our vaccination, in the recent COVID-19 vaccination, what it does is that it's creating, using the muscle cells, a new protein, which is very similar to the COVID. And this protein stands on top of the muscle cell. And then the immune systems arrive and they try to shoot it. Of course, you don't know exactly what they would shoot, and there are a lot of other proteins going around them. Although in the picture you mainly see a clean muscle cells with a clean protein, but there are a lot of proteins out there. And the immune system arrives and try to shoot it. This is like the user or the customer that arrives to your website. He sees this new button. This is the new protein that you created. And this button tells him, click me. So he clicks the button. But, if there are million users coming and there is a large immune system, then the users might click also some other places on the screen. And this is totally makes sense. This is totally normal. And this is how the immune system learns, shoot this new protein this way to learn how to fight the COVID-19. So to recap, the DNA is the whole program that we store in GitHub. The DNA is the same. It's the whole program. It resides in every cell. So it's like forks. It's different forks of the same code base. So in different forks you have little tweaks. These are the little forks that we have out there in the DNA. Then when it comes time to create a new cell or to create a new protein, then we fork, we clone some function from this DNA, and we call this the mRNA. We deploy it, messenger RNA. We execute the specific function call, like create muscle cell. We call this function. This is a tiny portion of the DNA, and the output is some user interface. In our case, it's a protein that stands on top of the muscle cell, and then the immune system comes, which is like the users, and clicks the button. Basically, the immune system fights the new protein that was created. So I think this was very helpful to understand the whole technology of mRNA vaccination, and see you next time.